Scribbles and Knits Fibers podcast. My name is Jason. I am the owner and dyer at Scribbles and Knits Fibers. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. And if you're a new viewer, welcome as well. This podcast is about knitting fibers and fiber-related arts, and some odds and ends of different things that are, pertinent to things that I like. So let's get started. So what have I been up to since the last podcast? Well, we've been pretty busy around here. The kids have been in baseball. Baseball season is coming to a close. We've been at baseball games probably anywhere from 4 or 5 games a week, as well as soccer. We've been at soccer as well. One of my children also enjoys soccer, as well as we've been finishing out the year for my daughter, who is moving from the 5th to the 6th grade. So that's been exciting. She has been busy with her chorus and her band stuff, as well as she has finished up this season for Girl Scouts as well. So we've been kind of completing some things, some odds and ends here at the family, in the family, as we prepare for summer and different activities in the summer, as well as summer vacations. So that's another exciting thing coming up. This summer, we are planning to eventually take a trip to the Grand Canyon. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Interestingly, I have never been to the I had never been to the Grand Canyon prior to this past December, and a business trip took me to Arizona Flagstaff, Arizona, and so of course during that trip I took the advantage of going and seeing the Grand Canyon. The wonderful thing about it is that it was in early December and it was chilly at Grand Canyon. Me and some collaborators of mine went to the Grand Canyon, and I'm telling you, we went at the latter half of the day and we got to see the sunset. It was beautiful. It was freezing, but it was very beautiful. And the funny thing is I spent my whole life, I've never gone to the Grand Canyon, and here I will have gone to the Grand Canyon twice within the same year. So that's kind of an interesting place to be. So that's what's going on in the home life. Work has been busy. Goodness gracious, we just finished up the spring term, and it always surprises me when we get to the summer, because I know that I teach during the summer, but I forget how much I actually teach in the summer. So I do have some teaching this summer, and I've been doing some preparation and teaching there. As for my clinic work, obviously I can't talk too much about my clinic work because of patient-related stuff, but however, one of the cool things about the clinic work this summer is that I've been able to integrate some of my teaching stuff into the clinic by providing some lunch and learns, and that's been really kind of a cool melding of both my worlds of both academic and clinical, so that's cool. As for Scribbles and Knits Fibers, in the last podcast we talked about the Dustland series and the creation of chapters 1 through 4, and that has been going really well. I'm glad that everybody who has purchased it has been really enjoying it. As you guys know, my yarn has a story with every skein, and the Dustland series is just something really unique in that each skein is another chapter to the story. And so you just follow the chapters and read through the chapters as it goes along. And I personally am enjoying that, and I think some of you are enjoying that as well, which is pretty cool. For those who contacted me, I just want to say thank you for reaching out to me. It's been nice to hear from you and hear about your thoughts about not only the podcast, but also about the fibers that you've seen or the fibers that you've purchased. So thank you, I appreciate that. Other things that have been going on with Scribbles and Knits Fibers, I've been dyeing some new colorways, and that's been exciting. One of my new colorways that actually just came out today. Today is Saturday, June 10th. One of my new colorways that just came out, and I actually have it here in front of me, is called Fast Car. And I'll tell you, it was created for a reason, and it was created for a project that I actually want to perform. So I'll get to that here in a little bit. But this is Fast Car. Fast Car is a combination of some purpley blues along with some fluorescent yellows. I'm really excited to get started on my project with this, and I'll talk about that here in a little bit. It's going to pair up with another colorway that has not been released and does not have a name yet. and that is this colorway here, which has that same, but a speckly and a smeared version of the smear's not the best, what should I call it? Not smeared, speckly, deep speckles, wide speckles, some splashes, I like the splashes. So some speckles and splashes of that deep purple blue, along with a nice even gray that's compared, that goes further into the fiber, as well as these areas and pockets of just whiteness. So, so my project that I'm going to do is going to be pairing these together. And I'll talk about that here in just a little bit. So, other things that I have been dyeing, as well as I'm preparing for my fall colorway collection. You know, interestingly, it seems maybe like it might be a little bit early to talk about fall colorways, but the reality is that people are going to probably start looking for their fall color collections that they're going to want to knit on coming up here in about probably a month or so, because as the summer starts coming around and it's hot, sure, that's not the real knitting season time, even though I personally do a lot of knitting during the summer, and I'm guessing probably a lot of you do too, just maybe it might change a little bit, but I digress. The fall colorways, people will start looking for what they want to knit on in the fall. And so I started with some new colorways for the fall that do not have, some of them do not have names, but I'm going to show you here today because they're kind of fun. One of the colorways, the first one that I'm going to show you, actually does have a name, and that is this colorway here. It's called Fawn. And I don't know if it's being blocked out or not, but because depending on, if you think that you see some greens in there, you actually do see some greens in there. They're more of a pistachio, very faint green within it, but it's got a combination of some browns. There's some of the greens in there, and some very, very light browns as well. And let's see if I can bring that up closer. There you go. There you can see some of that pistachio in it. Let me just roll it. There you go. And one of the reasons why I created this colorway in particular is because we have a lot of bright colors out there for yarns, and there is often a need for a counterbalancing of the colorways, and this one I thought was a really subtle but yet beautiful way to counterbalance it in some very light fall colors. So that's Fawn, and that will be coming out into the shop in mid-July. Another colorway that I've created, which is for the fall colorway, I don't have a name for, but I am really liking this color. So, you know what I should do? And I'm really thinking of this on the fly right now. But you guys know how I have a story for each colorway. Maybe you guys have an interest in helping me create a story for a colorway. You know, that would be kind of fun. You know, if you guys have a name for this, maybe that could be what we could do, is you guys could help me name this colorway, and then from the name that it's given, I'll write a story for it. I kind of like that. I think that'll be fun. So let me show you again. This will be a colorway that I'll want to get out in the shop in mid-July too. So if you have an idea for the name of this colorway, why don't you put it in the comments below, and I'll read through the comments and I'll see if there's something that kind of piques my interest of a story that I can create around the name that you give it. So that is another fall colorway that will be coming out in July. So back to the two colorways that I created specific for a project. So I gotta log into my computer here real quick because it went into screensaver mode. But I just want to make sure I get this right. So Anthony Casalena is a pattern designer for knitwear, and he has a pattern that's called Fast Lane. Okay, and it's a really cool pattern. He actually has a lot of neat patterns. And this pattern, what I like about it is it's got a lot of geometrical small shapes within it of rectangles. It looks like it's a crescent shawl, if I can see this correctly. It's very long. And I thought, you know what? When I saw this on somebody's Instagram post, and in seeing it, I was like, wow, that looks really cool. And so that's what I designed these colorways for, was for that. And the fast lane, and then this one that hasn't yet been named, but I'll be naming it soon. My thought was this could be the darker, because it's a contrasting color where you have a dark and a lighter color. And my thought was that this could be the darker, obviously, and this could be the lighter. And I'm really excited to get started on this. I'm actually going to probably cake these up tomorrow and prepare them for making this project. So check my Instagram, and then I'm sure I'll talk about this in future podcasts. So that's what's been going on with the fiber, or the Scribbles and Knits Fibers shop. So what's been going on with projects? I don't have any finished projects right now, but that's because I have some works in progress. So let's get to that. Last time I had just started working on the Dustland hat using the colorway Deceptive Magic from the Scribbles and Knits colorways, and I've made some good progress on that. Actually, this is a hat. I made it in a size for my 8-year-old boy, and this colorway, this is what it's come up to so far. The really cool thing about this is, so because we've got that blast of blue in the ribbing, it created this spiraling effect. And I was curious as I was knitting this up, how far would that spiraling effect go? However, as you can see, once we moved into the pattern, the blue became very scattered throughout it and became much more scattered, which, to be honest with you, I could have taken it either way. You know, the spiraling effect, I was initially like, oh, it's spiraling. You know what? That's okay. I like spiraling. I think it's kind of a cool effect to it. But then it started speckling in here, and I thought, oh, I like that too. So I'm really happy with how this is coming up, how this is knitting up with the variegation of the dark blue, or I'm sorry, the dark reds, the maroons, the almost black tints, and then the speckle of that turquoise blue within there. So like I said, I'm very happy with how this is knitting up. If you look at it, so there's the 2x2 ribbing, but then we've got 3 garter ridges, but the patterns within it are really kind of cool. You've got this slanted pattern, and then some ridging, and then you've got this kind of checker box, and then you're going to have some, and then I'm in kind of a waffle kind of zone right now. So I recommend, if you have an interest in a pattern hat, this is a nice pattern hat. It's Dustland hat by Stephen West, or West Knits, and I'm not sure how much it is, but it's well worth it. I've made multiple of these Dustland hats, and I keep going back to that pattern just because I think it's a fun pattern. It's really easy to do, but yet it creates something that's very unique. So, but like I said, I kind of, one of the things too about the spiraling that's happening around the 2x2 ribbing that I think is kind of cool is that that's the part of the hat that people see right away, right? Because it's on your forehead. But then to have that speckling on up, I just think that's going to be pretty cool. So now ultimately we'll see what it looks like in the end. You know, my wife was saying, oh, do you think that's going to be, do you think he's going to like it as a boy hat? And ultimately we'll see what it looks like in the end, and put it on him and see what he thinks. If it ends up not working for him and he doesn't like it, then my daughter will definitely like this, or even my 5-year-old son will definitely like this. So, but I think it's going to be, you know, I think it's going to be pretty cool. So I personally am not worried about that. I think it'll be nice. So So that's the Dustland hat that I'm working on. I anticipate that that's going to be finished up here within the week because it's coming on really nicely and it looks good. So so that's the Dustland hat I've been working on. Another project that I've been working on, which is a work in progress, is almost done as well. And so I anticipate that this will be a finished object the next time I'm podcasting also. This is a scarf, and it's a scarf that I've been working on actually for quite some time. The thing about this scarf is, if you guys have seen the Color Affection shawl, it's very similar in nature in that it's a lot of short rows within it to mix rows of color of garter stitch. This is not the Color Affection shawl though, because it is a rectangular scarf. So I have personally not knit the Color Affection shawl. I have friends who have shown me theirs, and the idea of short rows was kind of where it did help me come up with this idea, but then had to kind of figure out how to fit short rows into a rectangle and all that kind of stuff and do the math with it. I haven't technically written this up, but it may be something I might knit up in the future or write up in the future. Yeah. So let's see if this is. See, what's the easiest way to show you guys this? I don't know. I think I'll do this, maybe, because then, yeah. So start at one end, okay, and then we'll just kind of keep going. I'm trying my best with this. This is not easy because, you know, it's still on the needles, so. There we go. That worked. I probably dropped some stitches in this process, but that's okay. I'm pretty used to picking up stitches. Okay. So you want to run it through that again? Let's try that again. Make sure we don't drop stitches in that. I didn't drop any stitches. Yay! All right. So this starts at one end. So you see it has this black ridge on this side, and then red and black, red and black, red and black. And then it's got this row that is red, black, and gray, red, black, and gray, red, black, and gray. And we're going to continue along, and then we're going to start hitting the decreases of the red and black. Okay? The decrease of the red and black, and we start exchanging them for gray and red, but yet you see that continuous stripe down the middle, which is the combination of all three colors, the red, black, and gray. And so we have the decreases, and so it's going to continue until eventually we get to where the red and black are minimal, and then we come here to where it's mostly gray and red. And then there will be similar to how there's this black edging over here, there will be gray edging over on this side. So that's the next plan for it, actually, is to put on that gray edging, and then it'll be done. So I anticipate that that's going to be done here soon. This is made with Cascade Pima cotton. I forget what they call it, but it's a very, I tell you, I've never knit with cotton prior to this, the Pima cotton. It's very silky feeling. It doesn't have much give, and so it actually, when I first started, I remember it kind of rubbing on my fingers a little bit, not like wool, and kind of being stiff, but it's actually very silky. My fingers have gotten used to it, and the material itself ends up feeling very silky too. Now, I don't know if that is because there's a sheen on here that will wash away, or if that's just the way Pima cotton ends up feeling. So that'll be something to explore, to figure out when I washed it the first time, So, but I will probably wash it very gently because a lot of work has gone into this. It does have an I-cord edging on this side. The interesting thing was my needle size was a little bit funky with the I-cord edging, but I'll finish it off with the other side with an I-cord edging. I tried to do an I-cord edging on the short side, and it worked for the most part until I started switching out the colors, and I won't even show you the other end because it's pretty messy, and I'm thinking about maybe picking up some stitches and creating another edge or doing something to try to just clean it up a little bit. Honestly, after I weave in the ends, I don't know if I'm going to be that nitpicky to necessarily need to clean it up, but there's a part of me that does want to clean it up, so I probably will do some cleaning up of the short edges of the rectangle shawl, or not rectangle shawl, rectangle scarf. The final length of this will be probably, once it's done, I'm anticipating it being about 7 or 8 feet, so it's going to be a pretty good size scarf. So it's what I wanted. I wanted to be able to wrap it around a couple different times. I wanted it to hang. I wanted to have good drape, and so ultimately, we'll see how that ends up looking at the end. It's going to be kind of a mystery that will be solved here soon. So that's my other work in progress. So now I'm going to move on to some acquisitions, and I'll tell you, I've had some pretty awesome acquisitions since I last saw you guys. I'll start with the one that was a follow-up to my last podcast. So the last time I saw you guys, we talked about that I have these sock blockers that don't work for my size foot, but basically work for gifting socks. And if you think about it, it makes sense to have sock blockers for gifting socks because that's where you present them. If I knit myself socks, usually I just end up throwing them in the drawer and then wearing them, but to present my socks here for you, and then also to kind of be able to look at them myself and see how they look. It is kind of cool to have sock blockers that fit your own foot. The thing is I'm a guy, and so I tend to have larger feet than some of the other people that I might be knitting for, whether it be my wife or my mom or mother-in-law or whatnot. And so these socks are so I need new sock blockers basically. So I put a call out to see what you guys thought because I was really interested in some of the wire sock blockers. And Angela Harkness from Harkness Angels, or Harkness Angel on Instagram, but Angela Harkness, thank you Angela, told me about Jimmy Bean Wool and how she got hers at Jimmy Bean Wool. So I went on Jimmy Bean Wool and I got myself some sock blockers, and I got myself a large pair, which is perfect for my foot. So I have sock blockers. That's the cool thing. So that was an acquisition this past week. As you can see, I still haven't woven in the ends just because I've been pretty busy with other things. But it is nice to have some sock blockers. So I'll be able to block them and make them look nice. And then also when I'm showing you guys my socks, you guys can see them fully displayed. So that's pretty cool. So these are Jimmy Bean Wool. They were about $16-17 before shipping costs. So that was one of my acquisitions. Another one of my acquisitions I am super excited about. Knitting needles are one of those things where it's hard to, you experiment with different kinds. Over the years, I've experimented with Chaigus, with Hayahayas, with Addy Rockets for my socks, with Knit Picks, with their interchangeables for their woods, for their wood interchangeables. And in the end, I was thinking, it'd be nice to get a set of knitting needles that I have a full set basically. So I started looking into the cost and looking into the different kinds that were out there, and I was thinking about which knitting needles do I enjoy working with the most. And I thought about Chaigus, and I thought about Addies, and I thought about the Carbons, and I ended up settling on, in my decision-making process, to get some Addy clicks. The reason why I went with the Addy clicks is because Addy does make a sock rocket Addy knitting needle, and I have really enjoyed the smoothness of it, the way that the needle actually feels in your hands, the way that the yarn slides across the needle. I like how it slides across, and then also the tips. The tips are pretty sharp on the rockets. Basically, the rockets have the sharpness of a lace needle, of their lace needle, but yet don't have the ridging, so they're still really slick. And I like that because I do like the slickness. It seems like it doesn't wear on my hands as much when I'm knitting, to be able to have the yarn just cross and glide across. And I don't tend to drop stitches so much anymore as I did when I was first learning to knit. So I went on and looked, and Addy does create a knitting needle interchangeable in their clicks that is their lace version. Okay, so and so basically, though, with the lace, it's just a little bit more, it's not as slick on the needle, so that way you don't lose your stitches as much. But then they have a turbo lace, which is the combination of their turbo, which is the smoothness that I'm looking for, as well as the sharpness. So ultimately, all in all, I ended up buying a set of the Addy turbo lace, which is, I'm super enjoying this. The one downside to this, and I'll show you guys, the one downside to this is that this set comes in, and I know you guys might disagree with me on this, but I'm just telling you, it wasn't for me. The brightest pink carrying case. And then you open it up, and don't get me wrong, I mean, as you guys know, I dye a lot of pink, but when I'm dyeing that, I'm dyeing it with the story in mind and with you guys in mind, obviously, as well. You know, when I talk about colorways, and then also I will knit pink, but remember, that was knitting for my wife, right? But for my knitting needles, it was just a little too pink for me, right? As you can see, it's empty. And that is because I went on to Amazon and I found a knitting case, and I am going to give free advertisement for this knitting case because it actually has been a really nice knitting case, okay? Here it is. This knitting case has been super cool. It fits all the needles, and as you can see, there's 2 Paragon, but that's because of my working projects that I just showed you. Here are my connectors. Notice there's 2 zipper compartments, okay? So on the back side, I can fit in other needles. These are not all my needles, but these are just some, obviously, Chaigus. And let's see, what else do I have there? Oh, I have a little Susan Bates crochet hook kind of saver so you can correct things. And then over here is a pocket where I keep all of my extra cables, and then a little, gauge. Now I'll tell you, the nice thing about these Addy Turbo Lace is that the needles do actually have their numbers inscribed on them. I know that's probably not showing you very well, but it is on there, I promise you. And the other thing about these is the way that the click system works. It's pretty cool. Basically, the reason why they're called clicks is because the needle simply inserts into the cable. Let's see if I can do that. Inserts into the cable you find its groove, you push and turn, and it attaches. That's how it attaches. I do have an issue with my knitting needles coming apart on my interchangeables, particularly, and I think it very well could be user error. I just might not be twisting hard enough, but it has been an ongoing battle with my interchangeables that I do have currently to keep them in place. And so initially when I got these, I was having troubles actually with these two. But then I realized that I was not actually getting them attached right. And so it took a little practice to get them attached correctly. But I tell you, I got it down and I've not had a problem since. And I absolutely think these needles are awesome. Just plain and simple, they're awesome. So I'm enjoying knitting with these. But this was my big acquisition. Because as you guys know, they don't come at a cheap price. But they are definitely, I'm hoping, will be worth it in the long run to have a set of these. So that is my other acquisition. I'm literally looking around to see if there's anything else. But you know what? I think that's it for this week. So I think what I'll do is I'll close out with some video of me doing some dyeing process and some pictures of some of the things that have happened this week. So thank you for all joining me today. I hope you enjoyed listening to this. If you would like to get a hold of me, you can reach me on Instagram at Scribbles and Knits. You can either private message me or you can reply to any of the posts that I have. Feel free to check out what I'm doing on Instagram as well, because a lot of times I do some updates there, as well as just kind of show day-to-day stuff that I'm working on or enjoying. In addition to Instagram, you can actually reach me at my website, which is at jason@scribblesandknits.com. Please do check out my website, scribblesandknits.com. That's where I have a lot of my fibers currently. If you want to see what is currently for sale, my Etsy shop links are at scribblesandknits.com as well. So, or you can find me, if you are on Etsy, just go ahead and look for my shop at Scribbles and Knits or Scribbles and Knits Fibers. There again, if you can't find it on Etsy, just simply go to my website, scribblesandknits.com, and there will be a link to my Etsy shop there. So have a wonderful week, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon. Take care. Bye.